Money isn't just about numbers, it's about behavior, decisions, and how we see the world. That's why two people with the same income can end up with completely different financial futures. It's a mind game. You can know all the formulas, read every finance book, and still struggle. Because building wealth isn't just about what you know, it's about how you behave. That's exactly what The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel reveals. Timeless lessons about greed, fear, risk, and making smarter choices that actually stick. In this video, we're breaking down the most powerful principles of the book, explained with real-life examples so you can apply them immediately. And if you want more life-changing book summaries that give you practical tools, not just theory, hit that subscribe button and let's dive in. So, where do we start? With the first big truth, no one's crazy about money. What seems reckless to you might make perfect sense to someone else, and understanding this is the key to making better financial decisions yourself. People make financial decisions based on their own unique experiences, not spreadsheets. Morgan Housel explains that what looks irrational to you might be completely logical to someone else. Why? Because every person's money decisions are shaped by their personal history. For example, someone who grew up in poverty may save obsessively, fearing the future. Someone who experienced only prosperous times may invest recklessly, assuming markets always go up. Neither is crazy. They're both acting on what life has taught them. You can connect with that after the 2008 financial crisis. Many people who lost everything became terrified of investing, even when the numbers showed opportunities. Meanwhile, younger investors who only saw years of market growth felt overly confident. So now my suggestion to you is stop judging others' financial choices, and more importantly, recognize how your own life story shapes your money behavior. Self-awareness is the first step to better decisions. But even if we understand behavior, there's another force shaping every financial outcome, something we can't fully control. That's where luck and risk come in. Luck and risk, twin forces. Your financial success is never just about hard work, and your failures are never just about mistakes. Housel explains that luck and risk are like two sides of the same coin. They quietly shape our lives in ways we often overlook. Think about this. Bill Gates is brilliant, no doubt. But what are the odds that as a teenager in 1968, he happened to attend one of the only high schools in the world with a computer? That's pure luck. Now flip it. His equally smart childhood friend Kent Evans never got the chance to achieve anything because he tragically died in an accident. That's risk. And it's not just about billionaires. You might have seen this too. Two people start the same business, both work insanely hard. One takes off, the other fails. Sometimes it's not skill or effort. It's timing or circumstances. The real lesson? Be humble when things go right, because it's never 100% you. And don't beat yourself up when things go wrong, because it's not 100% your fault either. Focus on making consistently good decisions, not obsessing over single lucky breaks or bad setbacks. But here's the thing, even when luck is on our side and we succeed, a lot of people still feel like it's not enough. Why does that happen? Let's talk about the next principle. Never enough. If you're always chasing more, you'll never feel rich, no matter how much you have. Morgan Housel gives a story of Rajat Gupta, once a respected businessman who had everything: wealth, reputation, influence. But he risked it all for just more. Why? Because enough never felt like enough. Think about it. You might know someone making great money, yet they're still stressed, still comparing themselves to others. Or maybe you've felt it too. You hit a goal, and instead of feeling satisfied, you immediately move the bar higher. The truth is, wealth is a moving target if you let envy and comparison drive you. If you're not careful, you end up trading peace of mind for a bigger number you didn't even need. The real lesson? Define your own enough. Otherwise, someone else will define it for you, and you'll never stop running. Now, if you really want to build wealth without going crazy chasing it, there's one force that quietly works in your favor, if you let it. Let's talk about compounding, the closest thing to financial magic in the real world. Compounding is magic. Small, consistent gains can turn into extraordinary results if you're patient enough. Most people hear compound interest and think it's just a finance term, but it's more like a superpower. The trick is, it works best over long periods, and that's why so many people underestimate it. Take Warren Buffett. People call him one of the greatest investors of all time. But here's the hidden truth. He made over 90% of his wealth after age 65. Not because his investments suddenly got better, but because he kept investing consistently for over 7 decades. His real secret wasn't just skill, it was time. Let's make it simpler. Imagine you save $10 a day and invest it with a modest return. In a year, that's just $3,650. Not impressive, right? But keep going for 30 or 40 years. And with compounding, that small daily habit can grow into hundreds of thousands. No lottery ticket, no miracle stock pick. Just patience. So the lesson for you is, compounding works only if you stay invested, avoid constant tinkering, and let time do the heavy lifting. Most people quit too soon because they don't see instant results. But the magic isn't in the first year. It's in the decades that follow. Now, here's something people completely miss about money. True wealth isn't about what you flaunt. It's what no one sees. Let's talk about that. Wealth is what you don't see. If you can see it, it's probably not wealth, it's spending. When most people think rich, they imagine luxury cars, designer clothes, huge houses. But here's the paradox. Real wealth is invisible. It's the money sitting quietly in investments, savings accounts, or businesses, not parked in the driveway. Think about it. If someone buys a $200,000 sports car, what does it really tell you? Only that they had $200,000 at some point, not that they're still wealthy. True wealth is the money you choose not to spend. A friend of mine once earned a big bonus and immediately bought a top-of-the-line watch. Looked impressive, sure. But when an emergency hit 6 months later, he had to borrow money. Meanwhile, another guy at the same company lived modestly, invested consistently, and quietly became financially independent while no one was paying attention. The lesson? Don't measure wealth by lifestyle. Measure it by freedom, your ability to say no to things you don't want to do because you're not living paycheck to paycheck. And that brings us to the next powerful insight. If you want to build wealth, it's not just about earning more. It's about how much you actually keep. Let's dive into why saving money is even more important than chasing a bigger paycheck. Save money, don't just earn more. It's easy to think, if I just make more money, I'll finally feel secure. But here's the truth. Income doesn't automatically equal wealth. I've seen people double their salary and still end up broke because every pay raise comes with a lifestyle raise. New job? New car. Bigger bonus? Bigger house. Suddenly, expenses grow just as fast as income, leaving nothing to save. On the other hand, I know someone earning an average income who quietly built a solid investment portfolio simply by living a bit below their means. No fancy tricks. No winning the lottery. Just saving consistently. The real power of money isn't how much you earn. It's how much you don't spend. Because savings give you options. Options give you freedom. And freedom is real wealth. But here's where many people get stuck. They try to be perfectly rational with money, analyzing every decision like a spreadsheet. The problem? We're not robots. We're human. And when it comes to money, being reasonable often works better than being perfectly rational. Most people think good financial decisions are about cold logic, spreadsheets, interest rates, precise percentages. But money isn't just math, it's deeply emotional. Say you're deciding whether to pay off a 4% student loan early. A purely rational answer would be, no, just invest your money somewhere earning 8% instead. But a reasonable answer could be, yes, because having that loan gone will help me sleep better at night. And when you feel better about your money, you're more likely to stick to your plan. That consistency, not perfection, is what actually makes you wealthy over time. Reasonable decisions might not always be mathematically perfect, but they're human, sustainable, and long-term. But even if you're reasonable and consistent, there's one truth about money most people overlook. The biggest events, both good and bad, are rare, yet they shape everything. Tail events rule everything. In money, and in life, a few rare moments have an outsized impact. These are called tail events. They're unusual, unpredictable, and yet they explain most of the results. In investing, decades of steady growth can be overshadowed by one market crash or one huge rally. In business, one breakthrough product can turn a small company into a giant, or one lawsuit can destroy it. It's the same personally. One great decision or one lucky break, like buying a home at the right time, can set you up for life. One bad decision, like taking on crushing debt, can set you back years. Morgan Housel's key point? You don't need to predict these rare events. You just need to survive long enough to benefit from them, and protect yourself so the bad ones don't wipe you out. Keep emergency savings, even if the math says you could invest it all. Avoid risky bets where one mistake ruins everything. Stay consistent, so when that rare golden opportunity shows up, you're ready. Think about Warren Buffett. More than 90% of his wealth came after age 65. Just a handful of extraordinary years created almost his entire fortune. But what's the real point of building wealth anyway? Is it just to show off, or is it to live life on your own terms? That brings us to the next lesson. Freedom is the highest dividend of wealth. When people think about wealth, they imagine buying things. Big houses, luxury cars, fancy vacations. But the greatest dividend of wealth isn't stuff, it's freedom. Money buys you control over your own time, and time is life's ultimate currency. Think about it, you can lose money and earn it back. But once you lose time, it's gone forever. For example, imagine two people making $150,000 a year. One is stuck in a 70-hour-a-week job, constantly stressed, no time for family. The other designs their life to work less, maybe take Fridays off, or spend afternoons with their kids. Same income, completely different quality of life. Wealth is valuable because it gives you the option to say no. No to toxic jobs, no to clients who drain you, no to doing things just for the paycheck. That's real power. But here's something most people forget. The person you are today isn't the person you'll be forever. Your goals, priorities, even your definition of freedom will change. That's why the next lesson is so important. We often make financial plans as if we'll want the same things at 25, 35, and 55. But life doesn't work that way. Your future self will probably have completely different goals. Think about it. Have you ever looked back at something you desperately wanted 5 years ago and laughed? Maybe it was a dream car, a big job title, or a certain lifestyle. People change, and your financial plan needs to be flexible enough to change with you. Instead of locking yourself into a rigid path, build options. Save more than you think you need, avoid overcommitting to huge expenses, and focus on financial flexibility. because the only guarantee about the future is that it won't look exactly like you expect. I know someone who, at 25, was obsessed with climbing the corporate ladder. He worked insane hours, skipped vacations, and even moved to a different city just for a promotion. But by 35, his priorities flipped. He wanted more time with his family, not another title on his resume. The problem? He had locked himself into a lifestyle with a huge mortgage, expensive car payments, and zero flexibility to step back. This is why Morgan Housel says, don't assume your future self will want what your current self wants. Save and invest in a way that leaves room to pivot. Because life is full of surprises, career changes, family priorities, health shifts, and financial flexibility is what keeps you in control. Now, if there's one thing you learn as you grow, it's that nothing in life is truly free. Whether it's wealth, success, or even peace of mind, there's always a price to pay. And that's exactly what the next principle is about. Every decision in life has a hidden cost, even if you don't pay for it with money. Take investing, for example. The stock market isn't free money. Yes, historically it grows over time, but the price you pay is volatility and uncertainty. There's no way around it. If you want the reward, you have to stomach the ups and downs. Or think about careers. You might chase a high-paying job, but the price could be long hours, constant stress, and missing out on family dinners. On the other hand, choosing more free time might mean slower financial growth. Both are valid, but nothing is free. Even financial freedom itself isn't free. It costs years of discipline, saving, and saying no to short-term temptations so you can say yes to long-term goals. Morgan Housel's point is simple. Everything valuable comes with a price tag, but the price isn't always obvious or printed in dollars. You have to decide which costs you're willing to pay. The worst mistake? Trying to get rewards without paying their price. That's when people take on too much risk, fall for scams, or burn out. Now here's something even trickier. It's not just about paying the price. It's about realizing that you're not as independent as you think. Your financial decisions are shaped by the people around you, even when you don't notice. And that's exactly what the next lesson is about. You're not alone, the influence of other people on your financial choices. We like to think our financial decisions are totally our own, based purely on logic, math, and personal goals. But in reality, other people's choices silently shape ours all the time. Think about it. You might feel perfectly happy with your car until your neighbor buys a new one. Suddenly, your old car feels outdated, even though nothing about it has changed. Or consider investing. When friends brag about crypto gains or someone at work talks about flipping houses, it's tempting to jump in. Not because it fits your goals, but because you don't want to feel left behind. This is what Morgan Housel calls financial social pressure. Money isn't just math. It's status, comparison, and belonging. And that's dangerous because other people's goals are not your goals. They have different incomes, different responsibilities, different risk tolerances. The key lesson? Filter out the noise. Before making any big money decision, ask yourself, am I doing this because it makes sense for me? Or because someone else is doing it? Real freedom comes when you stop measuring success by someone else's yardstick and start defining it for yourself. Now, even if you ignore outside pressure, there's another trap: your own emotions. Fear and greed can push you into bad decisions faster than any neighbor ever could. And that brings us to the next lesson: the seduction of pessimism and optimism. How emotions distort money decisions. Have you noticed how fear always sounds smarter than optimism? When someone says, the market's about to crash, it feels urgent and believable. But when someone says, things will probably turn out fine, It almost sounds naive. That's the seduction of pessimism. Bad news feels like it needs action now, and that's why we panic sell investments or hold back from taking good opportunities. But optimism can be dangerous too, especially when it turns into blind optimism. Ever met someone who throws money at the next big thing just because they're sure it'll go to the moon? That's how bubbles happen. Here's the truth. Neither constant fear nor blind hope is a good strategy. The economy is messy, unpredictable, and full of surprises. Sometimes the world really is falling apart, but most of the time, it's just noise. Let me give you an example. Imagine the 2008 financial crisis. People who panicked and sold everything at the bottom missed one of the biggest market recoveries in history. But on the flip side, those who believed real estate prices could never fall got wiped out too. The real skill is balancing realism with resilience. Accept that bad things will happen, recessions, crashes, setbacks. But also know that over time, progress wins. Long-term optimism, combined with short-term caution, is how you avoid being whiplashed by your own emotions. So that's another timeless lesson from the psychology of money. Money isn't just about numbers, it's about how we think, feel, and react. If you found this breakdown helpful, don't just stop here. There's so much more to learn about building real financial freedom. I've got more powerful lessons coming your way in the next video, and trust me, you don't want to miss it. So hit that subscribe button, stay tuned, and as always, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.